Hello, we're going to be doing a reading from a forthcoming publication of mine called The Deathless Light. This is an article which appears within the text called Bad Faith. I stand before her grave, the late afternoon sun casting long liquid shadows through the cherry orchard. The air is thick with the fading warmth of day, soft and amber-hued. Beneath there lies the naked breath of dusk's approach. The earth here is tender, still moist with recent rains, dark and rich. Beneath my boots, I trace my fingers along the weathered stone, its surface mottled with patches of moss and delicate threads of spiderweb, slowly swallowing the carved letters of her name. Nermeen Daniels. November 6, 1977. October 10th, 1997. Time has worn it smooth. The memory burns sharp. The cherry trees around me sway gently, their boughs heavy with blossoms, petals drifting downward like pale snowflakes tumbling slow and silent. Each petal, a sigh, a fragment of some beauty falling away, the orchard breathing out its final summer breath. Me, I breathe in, her presence coils inside me. I feel her. Barely more than a shimmer, an echo underneath rustling leaves, then she resolves, radiant in a white wedding dress, wove from wistful memories of Sunday mornings. The fabric drapes softly around her, catching the last rays of sun, gleaming with a subtle inner luminescence. Her dark hair spills in ringlets, Nick's black shining twilight across the river Leith, stars refracting off the mirror of some Stygian forgetfulness. Then her eyes find mine, deep, still pools abrim with trembling hope, her smile gentle, her lips a benediction whispered on the memory of breaths decades last since taken. She takes my hand in hers. I feel her. Grief, perhaps, if only intermingled with some semblance of love's forlorn adulation. We stand in silence, the world narrowing to the orchard, the grave and the fragile light that surrounds her. Then the wind stirs again, raising petals into the air. A slow, silent dance. I reach for her hand. She does not resist. Together we step away, waltzing between graves, moving deeper into the orchard, the petals falling heavier now, caught in an invisible current that swirls around us, the sound of Egyptian lyres baying crystalline by twilight. We pause beneath the low-hanging branches, light and shadow caressing one another with the heat of old paramours. I reach into my pocket. I draw a worn copy of The Cherry Orchard, Anton Chekhov's careworn 1904 meditation on change, loss, in the passage of time in the days before red dawn. The cover is creased, mind you, softened by years of handling, its pages yellowed, fragile, trembling. I open to the final scene. The moment's weight settling round us like a cloak of broken lovelessness, my inner monologue darkened and thoughts gravel with the power to unmake me. Quote, the orchard lies in silent. In the dust, the cherry trees stripped of their blossoms stand like old friends in mourning. Across the clearing, the little pavilion of painted wood, once bright, now whitens in the fading light. A soft wind stirs the branches, lifting stray petals and dead leaves in a slow, gentle swirl. End quote. Her eyes close briefly, as if she too hears the author's lament. Madame Ranevskaya's white carriage rolls away down the dusty lane, its lanterns dimming against the coming night. In the pavilion, Varia stands alone, the hem of her dress brushing the wooden floor. She lifts her hand to touch a fallen blossom, her eyes glistening with memories of laughter and loss. I watch her eyes. Her face softens, a subtle tightening at the corners of her mouth, grief made visible in the intonations of some 20th century nostalgia. A single cherry blossom drifts through the open window and settles at her feet. She kneels to gather it, pressing it to her heart as the lantern light flickers and fades. The orchard exhales a soft sigh, carried on the wind. Goodbye, and yet not goodbye. For what is lost lives on in every breath of dawn. The final words hang between us, fragile, luminous. The orchard exhales with me, a breath caught and released in the shifting light. Petals fall heavier now, spiraling down like snow. The fading gold of day mingling with the scent of frankincense and myrrh, wrapping us in invisible shawls of loveliness. Nermine's eyes open. She turns toward me. The moment shatters softly, and we rise together, our steps slow and measured as we move towards the white gazebo, nestled deeper in the orchard. The path is soft beneath our feet, carpeted with fallen blossoms, and the trees leaning close, their branches heavy with the weight of 1,000, no, 10,000 photosynthesized good mornings. The dust reclining steadily to indigo between us. Nermine's form begins to shift, subtle at first, a reflection caught in some rippling water. Her dress ripples, the fabric shimmering as it catches the shifting light. The soft contours of her face blur and rearrange, features melting, reforming. Oh, Allison, what are you doing here? I see. Her laugh once bright and sharp to echo faintly in the rustling leaves, the shock of her blue eyes, some Scion asylum, leveling me to dust. Oh, there's a shyness to her smile. A bittersweet shame carved from the memory of joy and memory of joy's remnant pain. A stark contrast to the sorrow that clung to Nermine. A memory's return, her 13th step of thought, the noose. So glad to see you well. Overcome and completely silent. Now, with heaven's help, you cast your demons out. And not to pull your halo down, around your neck and tug you off your cloud. But I'm more than just a little curious. How you're planning to go about making your amends to the dead. Recall the deeds as if they're all I finish, someone else's atrocious story. Allison softens, then transfigures into Rima. Now you stand reborn before us all, I say, her dark hair lengthening midnight cascades down her back. So glad to see you well. Her eyes gazing deep, fathomless. Rima's presence now the weight beneath my skin, pulling me beneath the sticks of grief so love. The messy, painful, mad genius kind is like having a supernova trapped inside your heart, she says. It burns, it overwhelms, and everyone else just sees twinkling stars, not the starquakes imploding in our chests to form the diamonds of our hearts. I listen. Some people just think moving on is just a matter of how you shift the light, she says, red or blue. Like we either remember or look forward to new things, but that's only true if you're dumb. So cry when you need, rage if it helps, but always hold tight to the parts of the love that feel like secret constellations only you can map, even if the world thinks you're strange. And remember, feeling all those things, that is your superpower. So use it to light the weird, beautiful path only you can travel forward on. Supernovas and all. I hold wrapped in the darkness of her stare, my similitude reflecting in obsidian, when suddenly the gentle luff of bursting fireworks scintillates behind her, framing her black hair in love's Andromedan corona. Then, lowering my gaze, I see her. Hajar. Oh, Hajar, standing quietly between the headstones at a distance. Her silhouette softly outlined by the twilight shining yonder in the delicate forays of an astrolabe. Celestial gears turning silently above, their holy resonances wheeling the music of the spheres. The moon above her, housed in Gemini, casts its strange glow conjunct Mercury with Jupiter in Leo. In aspect, crimson gold with the blitz of sapphire meteorites refracting off the twilight, where memories linger in the astral sea, where night unfolds to conjure forth the dawn where loss and beauty osculate in a delicate embrace. As for me, Lowering my gaze, I catch her eyes. She, standing quietly between the headstones at a distance, interjects her silhouette between my most masculine desires. Her white wedding dress flowing round like liquid light, her hijab billowing in the breath of cherry blossoms. We reach the gazebo, a weathered pavilion of peeling white paint wrapped in twisting ivy, quite alive and thriving vitally here amidst the deepening twilight. She turns to me, our eyes touch, ancient, aching, always with the love-scorched sense of loss that has accompanied her into her present incarnation. She lifts a hand slowly, our fingers straight, barely touching. The orchard holds its breath. We stand beneath the wooden rafters of the gazebo, the air thick with the scent of blossoms in the fading light. The vines pulse softly, casting shadows like whispered prayers across our skin. The petals fall in slow, heavy waves around us, a silent symphony of white and pink. If thou hadst Majnun's eyes, the two worlds would be within thy view. Thou art in thy senses, but Majnun is beside himself. In love, to be wide awake is treason. I take her hands in mine, feeling the trembling warmth beneath the fragile lace of her dress. Her eyes search mine, luminous, deep, the blackness of her pupils mirroring my likeness, the last daylight star shone above my shoulder. Pablo Neruda's Sonetos de Amor, moving through my eyes as waves of twilight, irradiating violet lights of ancient amethyst, her soul, the current of my bones' true light. I do not love you as if you were rose salts, topaz, or the arrow of carnations that fire shoots off, I whisper. I love you as one loves certain dark things, secretly. Between the shadow and the soul, she pauses. I continue. I love you as the plant that does not bloom but carries the light of those flowers hidden within itself, and thanks to your love, the tight aroma that arose from the earth lives dimly in my body. I love you without knowing how or when or from where. I love you directly without problems or pride. I love you like this because I know of no other way. Her head tilts, her breath catching every fumbling word. But this in which there is no I or you, so intimate that your hand upon my chest is my hand, so intimate that when I fall asleep it is your eyes that close. Then, as if time itself unwound, the world fast shifts to leave us standing in a narrow, ancient Spanish alley bathed in candlelight. Ochre walls rise, draped with trails of ivy in the hidden panes of jasmine, and worn cobblestones glowing umber faintly beneath our feet. From a dim-lit doorway, a priest emerges, his cassock whispering against the stones, carrying a single flickering candle whence to cross his weathered face in blessedness. Michael, yes. The gravel of his voice to suit the terracotta of my bride's complexion. Will you take Hajar to be your lawfully wedded wife, he says, to have and to hold from this day forward, for better, for worse, for richer, for poorer, in sickness and in health, to love and to cherish till death do you part. See, the priest then turns to Hajar, she smiling, laughing nervously behind a sweep of coal-black tresses, her Arabian eyes afire in candlelight. Hajar, will you take your Michael to be your lawfully wedded husband? To have and to hold from this day forward, for better, for worse, for richer, for poorer, in sickness and in health, to love and to cherish till death do us part. Si, senor. The priest then lifts our hands joined, his voice solemn and steady. By the authority vested in me, I now pronounce you husband and wife. What God has joined together, let no one put asunder. The flame flickering love's holy radiance as the children around us race through, laughing ravenously through the prospect of all life's promises before them. In that alley steeped in history and light, we would be married by faith, by love, through wanton centuries to drift through carousels the ages round to Christ's return. Our hands tremble, fingers entwine, hearts beating the fragile rhythm of a love both ephemeral and eternal. I lean closer, breath mingling with hers, the world narrowing to the space between us, the almost touch, the near kiss that hangs suspended like a gold foil blossom before it falls. Then the world fractures. The petals whirl faster, the orchard blurs. then fragments. The gazebo dissolves to shadow and silence. The fragrance of creation faint, elusive. Then she is gone. I stand alone, facing listless, as a vision of her grave, the silence of the cemetery, muted hollow. The garden's twilight one neither birth nor death can dare erase. An image calls to mind. Lovers' mouths draw close, faces made to vanish beneath the silken veil. Flesh itself defaults to mist in René Magritte, The Lovers. The union of proximity and unbridgeable distality with exquisite tension. Their bodies being in itself fixed, complete. Unconscious existence, one with being for itself. Consciousness in itself free, incomplete, ever self-transcending as Sartre had it. An apparition of sincerity riddled with disingenuousness. To have faith, one might say, requires a certain sense of self, one by which to fix said faith of property which said self possesses. To be truthful to oneself, that requires identity. For sure, at least, a stable architecture of personality. One on whose grounds honesty itself can ground lest the object of one's faith beneath the pale facade, that stable sense of self, should suddenly dissolve of Montreal. Wraith pinned to the mist in other games. To say bad faith arises as dishonesty towards other. Later, that secret self-betrayal whence being for itself gazes into its own eyes to veil itself behind its own reflection and call it gnosis. That I that speaks forever from the vista of the mask it dones and veils to die before its own divine self-revelation. The apophotic void of form cataphotically unveiled in perfect being in itself, where, by virtue of life's sincerity and insincerity, the sense of self succumbs to fracture into shards to mirror endlessly of life's dead reckoning. A ghostly waltz through psychic corridors, an endless existential self-refraction, the truth of being for itself, the brute facticity of conscious itself, being conscious of itself, ex nihilo as Memnosine, the goddess as the Eleuther, the wanton haunted hills by which the Grecian keeper of mnemonic fields, the Elysian mind of God eternal, remembers us, from Bohemian seas reified, mechanical to Einstein's elemental dust. Thence the woman's gaze fractures in glass, her face caught in a kaleidoscope of expression in blankness. Ingmar Bergman's persona breathing with the unsettling intimacy of self-deception. A cinematic meditation on the fractured soul. The screen flickers between knowing and not knowing. The conscious observer entwined with the silent and willing participant within. Sartre's inquiry into how one might deceive oneself finds vivid life here. The liar and the deceived do not stand apart. They merge in haunted dances of light and shadow. Consciousness folds upon itself, hoisting a double rhythm. An eye watches and another closes. A voice speaks truth and another shrouds it. This paradox intensifies the play of freedom and concealment. The heart of bad faith beating steadily beneath the surface like a secret song half heard in the deepest room of the mind. This doubling of self-awareness creates a tension. A reaching toward a fixed identity just beyond all grasp, like a trembling figure stretching to capture a future that slips through its fingers. Bronze hands, impossibly elongated, stretch forward with a trembling grace. Alberto Giacometti's man pointing, as if reaching for a future that recedes with every gesture. The man alive with motion, yet his form arrests itself mid-movement, a fragile snapshot of potential fixed in cold metal. Sartre's for itself, the object of the conscious self with which that what eternally projects itself beyond finds this image a somber mirror. When consciousness attempts to freeze its own fluidity into something definitive, when it accepts a fixed identity and erects it as an essence, bad faith breathes and grows. This figure points, but it also halts, embodying the paradox of freedom, the human desire to grasp a permanent I, while always existing in the flux of becoming. The sculpted wraith of bad faith falls long here, a silhouette cast between the urge to be and the impossibility of ever arriving. This frozen tension unfolds like the rhythmic clatter of a machine, the relentless cyclical performance. In the chaos conf of the factory's relentless machinery, we dance like Charlie Chaplin through contemporaneousness, modern times, on the edge of exhaustion and performances. The relentless repetition of the worker's steps, the manic precision of each movement become both prison and ballet. Sartre's infamous cafe waiter steps into this dance, every gesture polished into a prison of cliché, every bow a practiced refrain to the anti-self. The waiter performs, yes, but out of spontaneous identity, certainly not. But because the role demands a perfection of manner, a living stereotype frozen in place. Bad faith nestles in this performance. The body submits to the script, the self disguises its freedom under layers of learned habit. In the symphony of industry, the individual dissolves into the role and the act of being becomes a taut, delicate masquerade. The cafe waiter is a portrait of this eternal play, a figure who moves without motion, who acts as if defined by the role, yet is always invisibly more. Beneath the surface of such orchestrated roles, intimacy and unspoken distance hover, like a delicate hand lingering in twilight, touching, yet withheld. A single hand lingers on another's wrist, delicate still, bathed in the muted glow of sunset. Wong Kar-wai's in the mood for love lingers on these suspended moments, silent gestures sodden with unspoken tension. Bodies close where minds drift worlds apart. Sartre's woman on a date holds the chiaroscuro. A split between pure presence held ransom by the quickening instinct, whence to rage to inner flight. Bad faith breathes her pure refusal to embrace her freedom. The refusal to say yes or no, being her insistence she remain condemned betwixt being and nothingness. She knows very well the intentions which the man who is speaking to her cherishes regarding her. She knows also that it will be necessary sooner or later for her to make a decision. But she does not want to realize the urgency. She concerns herself only with what is respectful and discreet in the attitude of her companion. L'existentialiste continues. But then suppose he takes her hand, we read. This act of her companion risks the changing the situation by calling for an immediate decision. To leave the hand there is to consent in herself to flirt, to engage herself. To withdraw is to break the troubled and unstable harmony which gives the hour its charm. The intimacy of touch become an echo chamber for avoidance. Her hesitation to embrace the change thence curls into the spectral weight of the moment, begging to be identified. History, memory, pain. The restless ambiguity selecting indecision. The young woman leaves her hand there, but she does not notice that she is leaving it. She does not notice because it happens by chance that she is at this moment all intellect. She draws her companion up to the most lofty regions of sentimental speculation. She speaks of life, of her life. She shows herself in her essential aspect, a personality, a consciousness, and during this time the divorce of the body from the soul is accomplished. The hand rests inert between the warm hands of her companion, neither consenting nor resisting. A thing. Toni Morrison's Beloved comes to mind. The spectral weight of pain born in the act of naming, the boundary, a definition. A refuge from pure chaos. As Sartre's meditation on fixed identities finds resonance here, well, dare I say to assent I am this, is to name the boundaries by which the boundless circumscribes anxiety with freedom. The self, a yearning for security, adopts in stasis archetypal forms of evanescence wrought in mythic reverence. The mother, the ghost, the survivor. Everyone some ages held against the mortal drone of love's eternal self-becoming. Now bad faith breathes in this through guarded fortresses, what that choice surrenders to and fro in indecision, whence the flow of selfhood calcifies in stone, a locket on a heart-shaped headstone, clasping silently the darker truths by which love's possibilities are born to die. Turning then into the rose-red corridors of our hearts, Victorian, the picture of Dorian Gray per Oscar Wilde lays set upon the wall before us. Sartre's insight into sincerity begets hereby the form of fixity, a visage of immaculacy, whilst the canvas high the youth reveals the corruption of his soul. To identify oneself a sincere person, even this entombs the spirit, albeit in some penitentiary of pious righteous images. The soul then's made as to embark into a constant enterprise, to rage against the tendency to change from truth to lies, whereby sincerity itself solidifies into the amber of denial wrought in self-betrayal of one's Machiavellian genius and dissimulation. There is a fatality about the things that we do, that the soul, when it has once committed itself, never escapes. Into this psychic architecture pierces some distorted scream. Blood-red raw, abstract, yet palpable. What then, that Francis Bacon's screaming Pope should manifest the same? The schism twixt the surface and its substance, the agony of a being confronted by its own corruption. The scream thence made to face the fixity of self, to tear mortal walls of self-deception, as one would exact a knife through mortal silk. Bad faith, my friend. The fact of such demands of us an endless nepsis, whether it is the gilded mask of Dorian or the tortured pontiff of Bacon. The cost of self-betrayal, dare I say, blooms ruthless as it moves eternal. For when the veil should lift, when presence fully awakens, the mask dissolves. Freedom's scream ascends, harsh, clear, relentless, leading us once again to the veiled lover, suspended in the delicate mist between being and nothingness. Bad faith here becomes the gilded cage, our daily painting of our characters to mask or self-unveil the flux of life, whereby the gilded frame, a flickering flame thence born to dance across some mist-wrapped Styx as one fiercely for the falling mortal darkness. David Bowie's Black Star dawning in the timeless deep before us. Something happened on the day he died. Spirit rose a meter, then stepped aside. Somebody else took his place, then bravely cried, "I'm a black star. I'm a black star."